could give us some insights into how is it exactly on ground. You also worked for telecom industries like Vodafone, and now there's a different sector overall, Nexus Malls. Can you share a bit about how the entire process goes and what's exactly involved when we talk from an operational point of view and from a business perspective?
I think one of the key differentiators of a digital transformation initiative, I mean, it's first of all, there is a clear business outcome that is associated. Usually, I've seen in my journey a lot of IT projects also get called as digital transformation, but they are very limited in scope or limited in impact. A true digital transformation project actually cuts across, it's actually business transformation, leveraging technology. So by that means that the digital transformation project is essentially has to be effective, has to be led by the business team and in collaboration with the technology team. Only then can that I think that is a true hallmark. And the success of a digital transformation, my experience is when you have a whole set of cross-functional team members running a digital transformation project, one hallmark is that people understand the big picture, both the business and the tech teams, as to why are we doing this, what is the business going to gain, and if this doesn't work, what is at stake.
How businesses can leverage these technologies and be future ready.
I think you spoke about AI, and every day one picks up you pick up any newspaper like Economic Times or any other publication. AI is given a lot of print space online as well. Rather than trying to use, basically trying to use seniority or trying to use fear or basically greed as a motivator, I think personally I feel that has been a great motivator. Empathizing with them and essentially becoming from a leader, you become an influencer rather.
Hi everyone, welcome to the mainstream. I am Simran Shiwalkar, your host for today. We are back with a new episode of our weekly live series, and today we are joined by Mr. Omesh Bhujbal. Omesh, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the series.
Thanks a lot, Simran, and happy to be here.
Introducing Mr. Omesh Bhujbal. With over 22 years of experience in telecom, retail, and manufacturing, Omesh has led major digital shifts at Vodafone and beyond. From building scalable, secure systems to leading through uncertainty, he is also the expert on driving impactful change. Today, we are more than excited to know more about his journey, hear some critical insights on emerging technologies, and his views on leadership in today's digital era. So, without any further ado, let's begin. Umesh, firstly, thank you so much for joining us again. And like I said, more than 2 decades of experience in this industry. Can you tell us a bit about how this journey has been and how your journey, to becoming a CTO at Nexus Select Mall has been?
Okay, so my journey actually started in 1999 after I graduated as a mechanical engineer from Pune University. I've started working, I think the shift to IT, as a lot of people during that time frame started along with some of the transformation projects that were happening. Around that time, digitalization was just starting across industries, both in India and globally. And so there was a lot of interest in how to use digital technologies to basically gain business efficiencies, increase revenues, etc. So I worked with, started with Mahindra's and worked with them on their ERP as an analyst. And from there, I went after finishing my master's in information management in Syracuse, New York, and Syracuse University. I started with General Electric's e-business division in their power systems division. I was at that time reporting to the e-business lead for the entire business, and that's where I really saw how a leader like General Electric is using digitalization to really push the frontiers in terms of gaining business efficiencies and getting more revenue streams. And that I think I would say that is the beginning of my journey in not only in full-fledged IT, but also in looking at the transformative power of digitalization or digital and how it can really bring value to the business. Subsequently, I came back to India after working in the States for a few years, and then had a long stint in telecom, first at Idea Cellular, and then after the merger Vodafone with Vodafone Idea, where I was very lucky to be part of an industry which was at a peak when I joined in 2006 timeframe, which it was a growing industry. There were a huge number of players, a lot of business models were getting powered by easy access to mobile devices. the 2G, 3G, 4G revolution. Now we are on the cusp. We are 5G. We are already in 5G. So, during that time, because of the need for rapid growth, I saw the need. I saw how businesses were. I mean, especially our business, were looking at how digital transformation could help them grow at a scale which was unprecedented. And I'm not sure if most would be aware, but that was time when a telecom service providers pioneered the model of strategic outsourcing with partners such as IBM, TCS, HCL, Hewlett Packard, where basically the entire investment upfront of transformative technologies was done and a whole magnitude of growth was achieved. And that was the time when we basically really saw how transformation can really change the game and be a competitive advantage. And as part of the journey, I managed a lot of projects both across various business functions, be it HR, customer care, CRM, MarTech, finance. We also set up, I think, use the digital platforms to set up wallets and payments when the RBI issued licenses for payments banks. So that was also a new chapter where we saw how digital technologies could really kind of reach the masses and basically digitize the entire payments chain in the country. And after I left Vodafone and joined Nexus in the last two years ago, the journey has continued. And Nexus being a B2B business where its core business is as India's largest mall operator. Our core business is basically leasing to brands such as Zara, could be Lifestyle, Shoppers Stop, the big brands. They're also we are increasingly adopting digital technologies as a means for faster decision making. We've had a huge adoption of advanced analytics within the company. We are pushing digital platforms also where to gain more insights into consumer behavior and basically engage more with the consumer and by understanding their shopping behavior. So if I look at in a summary over the last 22 years, it's been a very exciting journey, and with AI coming in, with new technologies coming in, which are really acting as force multipliers, I think digital transformation is going to grow in a order of magnitude for companies across industries. So it is not restricted to digital or companies which have solid technology infrastructure, but I think all companies are getting impacted by that.
Absolutely. When we hear about, like digital transformation is definitely a hot topic right now, but from a leader's perspective, of course, someone who has actually worked on various digital transformation projects per se, if you could give us some insights into how is it exactly on ground. We've also worked for telecom industries like Vodafone, and now there's a different sector overall, Nexus Malls. Can you share a bit about how the entire process goes and what's exactly involved when we talk from an operational point of view and from a business perspective?
I think one of the key differentiators of a digital transformation initiative, I mean, it's first of all, there is a clear business outcome that is associated. Usually, I've seen in my journey a lot of IT projects also get called as digital transformation, but they are very limited in scope or limited in impact. A true digital transformation project actually cuts across, it's actually business transformation leveraging technology. So by that means that the digital transformation project is essentially has to be effective, has to be led by the business team and in collaboration with the technology team. Only then can I think that is a true hallmark. And the success of a digital transformation, my experience is when you have a whole set of cross-functional team members running a digital transformation project, one hallmark is that people understand the big picture, both the business and the tech teams, as to why are we doing this, what is the business going to gain, and if this doesn't work, what is at stake. And so that not only a team understands, but also is conveyed to the management. So first of all, there has to be a very strong CXO buy-in in terms of why this is being done, because by its nature, these transformation initiatives are multi-year, multi-million-dollar projects. So there has to be patience in the execution and the results coming in. And typically that comes through frequent and strong stakeholder engagement with the CXOs, with the project teams, with the technology partners and all the impacted stakeholders. So this it may be 1 year, it may be 2 years, but then there is payoff that is so there is a payoff at the end of the cycle should be well understood. And I think that is, if once that I think executive buy-in is there, automatically a lot of the success factors start coming in, and essentially a lot of hurdles that a transformation team would face start getting eased out. The other success criteria I would say is that when you talk to the transformation team, you often find that the business team starts talking about technology and gets excited about the possibilities of technology and how they can improve. It could be operational efficiencies, it could be additional sources of revenue, it could be cycle time. And the tech guys start understanding and talking the business language, saying that, hey, why don't we use this technology for to gain advantage over here? That is when actually a transformation project really comes into its own and it's guaranteed success. Obviously, these projects also by nature are high reward, high risk, but the risk mitigation happens a lot by having these elements in place. In my experience, it can't be just that there is a project marked out, there is budget allocated, there is a IT guy, project manager who's running the show, supported by a business team member. That project typically would not, even if it goes live, it would not deliver the business benefits. At the end of the day, a transformation is of the business, not of the technology. The technology is just an enabler of the transformation. So for any solid results to come out, the business goals should be aligned with the IT goals. I think if they are not there, it's not going to deliver the required results, in my experience.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, today a lot of IT projects or IT initiatives are also falling under digital transformation, and that is clearly the differentiator. Next, Mr. Umesh, I want to understand from you, as a leader in the tech space, you have managed a lot of complex and large scale projects within multiple stakeholders. How do you keep your team aligned when and focused, of course, whenever there's a large project, when there's pressures and all of this needs to be aligned in a very seamless manner. How do you do that as a leader?
I think you, as a leader, you have to wear various hats during various stages of the journey. And it's a journey. So basically, at the start, everybody's gung ho, everybody's excited. But then when you get into the trenches, as I would put it, when things don't are not working and no project, there's no transformation project out there that did not face severe challenges, fights between the teams, lack of clarity of objective. All you go through those phases. And as a leader, your job to marshal the troops is to make sure that everybody understands the big picture. That's step one. The point I was stressing earlier, that why are we doing this? If and typically people who work closely on the project, say these projects, get caught up and naturally so into their day to day, and the large picture starts slipping away. So a sense of despondency or basically a sense of why are we doing this? Will this even work? Starts creeping in, and as a leader, you need to really look at figure out that if that is happening and kind of play a role of a counselor, sometimes as a cheerleader, saying that okay, this is why we're doing it, and if we do this and we achieve this, then this is going to be the benefit of doing this. Now that would be a business benefit. So one may say, why would a tech guy be enthusiastic about that? I mean, I just have get paid to deliver the project. I mean, if you're let's say a partner, an ERP vendor, for example, if you're doing a digital transformation of that nature, would say, okay, why should I get excited? Then as a basically, like I said, the cheerleader part comes in where you say, okay, you may not directly reap the business benefits, but isn't this a skill addition to you? Aren't you learning something new? Aren't you seeing how the technology really, when it hits the ground, how it pans out? So instead of having a theoretical knowledge of something, you're actually seeing the impacts on the ground, and hence that also kind of again gives a different perspective to the people. It will be your own tech team, or you may the partner team that is aligned with you, assigned with you. So that way you have to kind of play a role and essentially make sure that the people keep the faith during the journey, and make sure people understand that this is not going to be something very kind of this is not going to be a very easy journey. It's a challenge. That is why people call it transformation. If this was, it's like that butterfly who has to the lava that is a struggle to come out as a
Right.
butterfly and break the cocoon. There is challenges, there is effort involved, and that is something that people need to understand. And as a leader, it is my role to make sure that people understand at different times. And one has to change one's leadership and style or management style depending on the person in front.
Right,
Sometimes
right.
it's not just your team, it sometimes the senior leadership also starts losing faith. And again, as the transformation lead, one has to also make sure the stakeholders, especially senior stakeholders, especially the people writing the checks, also keep the faith, saying that yes, okay, these are the challenges we're facing. It may be issue in terms of meeting the original timelines, but we are confident that if we do these remedial actions, we can definitely deliver the business results, and that way build faith again through dialogue. So you have to, as a leader, play various roles. more one of the that reminds me one of a quotation I keep on quote I give to my team members usually, that a diamond is a piece of coal that did well under pressure. So that's why absorbing pressure, dealing pressure is part of life. If you want to grow as a senior leader in your respective careers, you may be a senior developer or a senior program manager or a senior functional leader. Ability to take pressure, absorb pressure, and work with it is something that is intrinsic. And this is actually a good learning exercise for anybody who's involved in such projects. So that's the way I think, using various tools and techniques, one has to keep the troops motivated and make sure things keep on working as planned.
Great, great. I think that's the way, and I think thank you so much for sharing these best practices, Umesh. Next, I want to understand from you views on emerging technologies now that AI and quantum computing already making a buzz in the industry. Every day we hear about new technologies, coming in and making an impact. So, from a leader's perspective, how do you think these technologies will make an impact, or rather, how businesses can leverage these technologies and be future ready?
I think you spoke about AI, and that is the buzz. I mean, every day one reads, picks up any news, you pick up any newspaper like Economic Times or any other publication. AI is given a lot of print space online as well. I think first of all, as an organization, one has to be clear where one stands. I mean, where the organization stands in respect to the utility of AI for that organization. So one of the things that we have done internally is, now, because if AI is everyone exposed to AI, I don't know there's anyone who does not use ChatGPT, for example, to compose emails, documents, or create presentations or using Canva. So people are exposed, and the as an organization, one has to be really sure when they start looking at these emerging technologies like quantum computing, AI, that how is it going to benefit? One has to be, I think, that conversations needs to start internally, where within the suite of tools available, what is best suited for us. That way, the organization really focuses on what is important. How is clear how we can derive benefit from the emerging technology, and then start preparing accordingly. It could start with simple training of identified, putting together teams that are earmarked to work on this for the next couple of years, training those teams, identifying the tools and equipping the team with tools, and then executing the use cases that have been identified, one as a pilot and then as a full-fledged implementation. I think that actually the challenge here, I would say, is that there are a lot of things that are right now happening in the tech space that is quite exciting, and people. I mean, actually, it is a lot of my senior colleagues also come and say, okay, as a CTO, what is your opinion? How do you think we can use AI, for example, in this area? So essentially, that tempering that excitement and channeling it to identify how this particular technology like AI can be useful for an organization. I think that is very critical to prepare the organization for the next 3 4 years, or else that excitement will kind of dissipate in my exam. It will be limited to people using it as a productivity tool and not really as an enterprise tool or application. To give an example, I think everyone uses, like I said, ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or other such similar productivity tools for their individual but we are also exploring how maybe we can use Chat. I'm just giving one example, and I'm sure other organizations are doing similar pilots on how that can be used to enhance the analytic output, to give more deeper insights into the existing data. Now, this is something that is not something that is left to an individual. You need a cross-functional team to think through and draft the use case and really come out with what is the cost benefit analysis of that before one commits to a project of this type. So I think that is how I think I see kind of channeling that excitement that these technologies are creating into a more workable proposition that can be executed, and preparing the organization accordingly.
Considering your vast experience in the industry now, what do you think is one of the biggest or the most common misconceptions that you've come across when we talk about tech transformation?
Yeah, so I think I briefly touched upon it in my previous answers. I think the biggest misconception at large is that this is an IT initiative, not a business initiative. I'm talking about specific transformation. While IT may be the catalyst and the kind of coordinator, or the kind like you have an orchestra, you have a conductor, it is actually a business that has to pull the transformation rather than IT trying to push it. the minute one starts, as an organization, organization starts thinking that this is a IT initiatives to be supported by business, that transformation is bound to fail, or it would be a lukewarm success at best. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that this is something that is an IT KRA and not a business KRA. I'm limiting myself to transformation. Obviously, there are a lot of IT initiatives which are primarily driven by IT, so I'm keeping them out. But since the context of this discussion is digital transformation, that is the number one. And number two, that the biggest, I'd like to add a couple of more. One is that after we go live with that transformation initiative, the work is done. Actually, the project has just started. In other words, that now basically
Correct.
we've reached base camp. If I was looking at the transformation project as a climbing Mount Everest, going live is actually reaching base camp, and the real work starts after that to go to the summit. So there, because the transformation itself brings a whole lot of set of conditions that one needs to address, new problems, new opportunities, as the case may be. And the second is that by immediately after rolling out a transformation initiative, let's say there is a manpower, there will be reduction in manpower, for example. It's not. So people will have to still be engaged to a large extent till that thing settles down. There is a settling down period for any such initiative. And till that time, people have to be engaged with it. It's not just go live and you're done. So I think those are two, three things that these misconceptions are there. And like I said earlier as well, that as a leader, one has to constantly be aware that these don't creep up in conversations, in reviews. So especially with other stakeholders, senior stakeholders, as well as the project team as well. So I think that would be my take on this.
Great. Thank you so much, Omesh, for answering that. And while we conclude the session for today, I also have a small rapid fire plan for you. Just a couple of questions. Are you ready?
Sure. Yeah.
Fantastic. The first one for you is one emerging technology that you're most excited and not really excited about right now.
Okay, so first, excited about, I think we talked a lot of AI. AI powered multimodal models are something that I'm really, with the advances that are happening in OpenAI's GPT-4, where multiple sources of information can be weaved together to create diverse outputs. So, for example, today, if I could basically create by feeding an AI model, if I fed my business data and get an investor presentation, a video extolling the virtues of my business, as well as an ESG report, for example. That would be fantastic. Today, all of these tasks are separate. Some kind of model that ties everything together. I think that is, and which is happening. A lot of work is being done, and that is something I'm pretty excited about. What I'm not excited about is, I think one of the, it's something overhyped, I feel, is the metaverse. It's been pushed a lot by Meta, and we also looked at it seriously, but I think it's overhyped. There's not enough ROI justification, and I think that is something that I think, to my mind, is something best avoided.
Great. What's your go-to leadership mantra?
I think I would say that there's a phrase I liked when I heard it. It's like called leading from within. What that means is that rather than becoming like basically trying to take people along, it's a fancy, I think saying that in a different using different terms, where basically you as a leader are convinced about the task that has been undertaken, and thereby you can convince others that this is important and to put in their 110% to deliver that the effort required to complete that task, rather than trying to use basically trying to use seniority or trying to use fear or basically greed as a motivator. I think personally I feel that has been a great motivator. Empathizing with them and basically becoming from a leader, you become an influencer rather.
Right, right. Moving on, if you could have a dinner with any tech leader, past or present, who would it be?
I would say Satoshi Nakamoto, the guy who invented Bitcoin. Nobody knows
Right.
who he is, but when that is revealed, I'd love to have dinner with him. So, I
And
mean, it's a groundbreaking technology that has moved, I think, that has impacted the world of business, finance, tech. So,
right.
definitely my dream dinner guest.
Great. Biggest challenge you faced in your career?
I think I would say the COVID was a very challenging phase, not for just for everyone, but I think at that time if I look at where I was and the kind of projects I was executing, we were doing this a large project implementation when I was at Vodafone Idea and it was one of first of its kind in business and in the industry and impacting more than 300 million customers. at the height of COVID with 50 channels and more than five tech partners, trying to manage that while getting used to COVID, I think I would say that to me was the biggest
Absolutely, yeah.
challenge. And I'm sure a lot of your viewers and would also have similar stories during that period.
Absolutely, yes. That's the same narrative that we've been, hearing and getting from. So I think that's been one of the most challenging thing. But again, it's also opened a lot of opportunities when
Oh,
it comes
absolutely.
to
Yeah.
connecting with a lot of teams over across borders. So yeah, there's that benefit as
And
well.
and people learned a lot. We learned a lot about ourselves,
Absolutely.
how much we could stretch ourselves and and achieve even
Correct.
during such a challenging time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lastly, one tech trend that you think is very overrated.
I think I spoke about it earlier, I mean, the metaverse. And I'll give you an example. I'll elaborate a bit here that why I consider that because I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we looked at it seriously because we are in the physical retail space, and metaverse we thought was a great digital representation of what we have. So could be a good tool to engage people in terms of potential shoppers or even retailers, for example, who hire space from us. But like I said, the cost involved and the technology, the maturity of the technology and the ROI just didn't make sense. And we have seen it is dying out. Most of use cases that started out dying out. Having said that, I think the heart of it, augmented reality, I think there's a lot of potential there, and I think that is still something we are quite excited about.
Great, great. Umesh, thank you so much for such a fantastic conversation. I think we've had pretty much of insights and inspiration from you. And I'm sure our audience has a lot to take away from this session. So thank you once again for joining us. And
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Simran. And it was a great experience and very interesting questions, I must say.